Welcome, class, to week 6. This week we start to work with drama, pieces that are one-act plays that really don't have multi-parts. But I thought I would just give you an overview of drama, and that's why I'm using this particular PowerPoint. So, drama. Okay, it's a play that's acted out live and on stage, and here we have two examples of something that was actually on Broadway. And the structure of a drama follows a rising and falling structure. Okay, just like a short story would, just like a novel would, just like soap operas will. Okay, we start out with exposition, which is when the conflict is introduced. As we go up this particular line, we have the complications, tensions build. These are incidents that happen, activities, events that happen till we get to this point where I like to call this the point of no return. This is where the tension is at this highest point. Nothing else can happen. There is no way to handle all these little situations. It must be dealt with, and that's what at the top of that triangle, at the peak, at the apex, we call that the climax. And what that means is that we're at the point of no return, and there has to be, as we come down this side of the triangle, some sort of resolution, some sort of agreement, disagreement, parting of the ways, but no matter what, the conflict is settled and the play ends. So there's several types. One can be a tragedy, a comedy. Modern drama sometimes has a mixture of the two. So a tragedy depicts serious and important events that end unhappily. Think about Romeo and Juliet. Comedy ends happily. Most comedies are funny, but they also make us think and question. Good play is Bye Bye Birdie, for instance, when Birdie has to go off to war, to join the service. But it is a comedy because of so many things that occur around all of that, along that main idea. So here we have two examples, okay? A young woman wants to marry her love, but her mother disapproves of him. After very many setbacks, the suitor wins the mother's approval, and the love is married. So this could be a comedy, or a tragedy. A young man blinded by passion worsens a feud between his family and his lovers. The play ends with the deaths of two lovers. So, obviously, this is the tragedy and this is the comedy. Although this could, depending on what occurred, there could be some tragic things that have occurred. But no matter what, it is not a true tragedy because there is a happy ending. So, most classical tragedies deal with serious subjects, fate, life, death, center on a tragic hero. They're usually noble figures. I'm thinking Shakespeare. They have a tragic flaw, something that is in them that leads to their downfall. That's the tragic flaw. So, it could be rebelliousness, ambition, passion, or excessive pride. And these are the flaws that definitely affect the character. So in a comedy, the characters face humorous obstacles and problems that can be resolved by the end of the play. So comic heroes may be just sort of like ordinary people instead of nobility. They overcome their flaws, they achieve their happiness. And no matter what, the conflict in comedies is usually quite romantic. And it's usually someone wants to marry but faces an obstacle, opposing parents or rival suitors. And the complications could include misunderstandings, mistaken identities, disguises, or transformation. No matter what, whatever it is, the obstacle is always overcome. So in modern drama, today's modern dramas especially can't be neatly defined as either comedy and tragedy. Modern plays have a lot of a mixture of the two. And they focus on characters that audiences will identify with so that they can achieve a connection, and that these characters could be ones that people in the audience might look up to. So plays are meant to be performed. So it's really difficult sometimes to read a play, but no matter what, you still can follow along on what is happening, and each play comes to life in each unique performance. And a lot of times the performances are different, and it depends. A director may come in and he may ask for different stage directions. He may ask the actors to or the designers to interpret the directions differently. They can't change the words. That's not what they do. But they can twist things around and move things around so that they can go minimalist, meaning that there's nothing on the stage, or they can go to the max where everything is on the stage, where nothing is left to the imagination. So the audience, unfortunately, has only one way to appreciate what is happening, and that is through the actor's speech and their actions. There's no other way. So the stage, we need to talk about the stage for a second, okay? It's a world unto itself. So it can be grand or intimate. It has its own coordinates. This is upstage, this is stage right, stage left, downstage. And its set might be realistic and detailed, or like I said earlier, abstract or minimal. And it can change from scene to scene. And if you've ever been to Dr. Phillips, used to be Bob Carr, sometimes the stage it moves on wheels. Sometimes they just put curtains in front of it, in front of a scene, and put other things in front of it. And sometimes lighting can change things as well. So the other important element is costumes and props. Okay, costumes tell us about the character's time and the place. They can be elaborate, they can be minimal, and the props are the items that the characters can carry on stage or handle. So the actors and the director bring the characters to life by deciding how to interpret and how to speak the lines of the play. Okay, and they can use the playwright's stage directions for actions and movements. Now, the way we know if it's a stage direction or if it needs to be spoken words, because in plays we do not use quotation marks. In dialogue in a short story we put quotation marks around the spoken words, but in plays we do not. We just put the words next to the person's the character's name, and the stage directions then are in brackets. Okay, regular font, not anything fancy, not bold, not italics, regular font, but we know it's stage directions because the stage directions are in brackets, just like this example here. So the characters, when they speak, can take the form of dialogue. That's the conversation between characters. Monologue, which is a long speech by one character to another, or a soliloquy, a speech by a character alone on stage speaking to himself or herself to the audience. And if you've ever read Hamlet or seen Hamlet, seen the movie play version, these three speech forms are definitely done by Hamlet, the main character. He has a monologue, he does a soliloquy, and he also has dialogue where he's talking with the main characters. So here's an example. This is a piece from Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest. And the reason I'm showing you this is two reasons. Number one, to show you stage directions, and I'm also showing you how a play is set up. This is for formatting. So stage directions are in brackets, as we have here. The character who is speaking is in italics. It's not bold, and there is a colon after the character's name, and then this is the spoken word. And we know it's the spoken word. Why? Because it's not in brackets. Then you go to the next character's line, and again, up against the left margin, a colon, her name is in italics, and these are her words. And then this is the next character, again in italics, up against the left margin, colon, and then, oh, now we have a stage direction. And so now the character knows that she has to pause after Cicely says this line, and then she actually says her line. They don't seem to notice us at all. Couldn't you cough? Okay, so that's the difference between all of these. So is this likely to be a comedy or a tragedy? Well, it's a comedy. They're describing a silly situation. They don't speak because they're eating muffins. All right, so I added this just to remind you to follow the directions in the classroom. Okay, so first of all, this week for the two assignments, the first assignment is you need to develop some characters. Okay, make sure you develop characters. Follow from a week before. We're actually developing the characters, physical, mental, emotional. Put all that stuff in your characters. And then you're going to take two of those characters and you're going to put them in a laundromat. And their clothes are washing in the washing machines. There's only one working dryer. And your play is going to start when both of their loads of wash are done. And now they have to go to the one working dryer. So you're going to do a little interchange with that's your scene. Okay, and again, time, scene. I think in the classroom I have time being the present, scene, and you can put the explanation of the what I had in the classroom. They're waiting for the wash to finish and the one working dryer. There's only one working dryer. And then you put your characters. Okay, and don't use character 1, character 2. Actually name your characters. Make it make sense. Okay, so that's the format that you should use. And that's the end. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a great time. Have fun with this.